Hi, Robert. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Gilbert. I'm looking forward to giving an update on what we're up to.
Yes. So maybe you can just start off by giving us a bit of an overview of your company, Endurance Gold, because this is the first time you're here on this program. So let us know more about it. Give us a brief summary.
Sure. Endurance is a venture capitalized junior mining company. We're exploring with our current focus primarily in BC. The company has very strong ownership by insiders. Three of us on the board own about 60% of the company, but we still fund a lot of our activities both through funding from ourselves, but also the public. And our focus on exploration activities is North America, with right now a funding focus in BC, but we also have exploration projects in Alaska and the Yukon. And previously, we've owned other projects in South 48, but we've sold out of those and focused on advancing our Reliance project in BC.
Yeah, let's focus a bit on your BC projects here, Reliance Gold. Obviously, you have done some work in the past, but recently you're also quite active in the drilling program, and some results came out. Can you tell us a bit about this project and what's the potential for the resources of this project?
Yeah, well, our focus on this from an exploration perspective is to discover a multi-million ounce gold system. That's our exploration focus. And we are sitting in a camp that is the biggest historic gold producing camp in the province of British Columbia. It's produced over 4 million ounces of gold and at very relatively high grades. And most of that mining was between the 1930s and the 1970s at the Bralorne mine. And that mine is now being redeveloped and brought in by another producer in the camp. Our exploration activities are just east of that. Our discovery is 10 kilometers away from the Bralorne-Pioneer mine, but it looks like it's the same gold system, same age of gold system, but it's a new discovery on surface and was not recognized by old timers because it's sitting in breccias and not veins, but they are brecciated veins. And so it was overlooked by the old timers, and we've made a new discovery at surface there, commencing with our drilling activity in 2020. And 2021 is when we did our first diamond drill hole, and we've now completed about 127 diamond drill holes. And we've got a discovery. We've traced out near surface over about 1.5 kilometers of strike length. And those drill holes have also chased the system down to about a kilometer in vertical elevation, or up to about 400 or 500 meters below surface. But it's on a hillside. So with that hillside change, it shows a vertical continuity of the system of about a kilometer. Our drilling is still at that stage where we haven't delivered a resource, but at this point, the drill statistics are very encouraging over that distance I've mentioned. About 70% of our holes have intersected gold in excess of 3.4 grams per ton, in excess of 3 meters consistently mineralized width, basically a 70% hit ratio. And even within that, we have another 15 to 20% of our holes that have better than 10 grams over 10 meters in width. So in February, we provided a little bit of a summary of what's the average arithmetic width of our intersections, and it's about 10 meters arithmetic average width, and the arithmetic average of grade is about 4.5 grams per ton. Gold. In February, we also summarized our antimony content. There is an antimony content in this discovery, and it averages arithmetically on those intersections at about 0.2% antimony. Our drilling activity this year is focused with about 18 holes that we drilled, and it was primarily to fill in a gap that was in the middle of that 1.5 kilometer trend. And our success ratio of the drilling is being consistent with what we've already been drilling over the prior years. So we're very pleased with that, and it helps demonstrate potential for continuity of a system over that full 1.5 kilometer trend. So the project's an easy drive from Vancouver. In the summer, it's about a 4-hour drive north of Vancouver. It's road accessible year round. This is an historic gold camp, so you can be able to drive into this camp. And the camp was originally discovered with gold in the creeks in the first gold rush of 1860s here in BC. So this camp, and including the area where we're working, has had a lot of historic placer type activities up until the 1920s or so. And placer isn't an important part of it any longer. It's hard rock mining and that's the discovery we have as a hard rock gold system with, it's got an antimony signature, which is different than Bralorne. So the geological analogies of the system would be similar to Fosterville in Australia that has an antimony signature. There's Katila in Finland, which is another gold system that has an antimony signature, and they're higher level orogenic gold systems. It's created a scenario for us that we're onto a pretty good gold system in an historic camp that has potential to deliver on our objectives. We're now at the stage where we're about to deliver an inaugural resource coming up as our year progresses and moving into 2026.
Yeah, so let's talk a bit about your model here, because I believe
Sure.
from historically you'll be able to create funding by working on project and sell some of the projects. Can you tell us a bit more about this approach in terms of how you use the capital in terms of funding your exploration?
Yeah, it's a good question because historically our company's been around since 2005, and despite that, we're still majority owned by insiders. And we funded activities during that period of time to generate projects. So we were sort of a project generator. Once we acquired the Reliance project, we recognized the significant potential because we had discovery channel samples on surface in our first program of like 30 meters of 5 grams on channel samples on surface, and another one of 24 meters of 4 grams. So we recognized this early on, so we said, it's better for us and for all of our shareholders to fund this out of equity. And we've been funding this program on the Reliance project through equity participation, whereas a lot of our prior projects, we've brought in joint venture partners and or sold the projects. That was how the model of the company was developed. And we still own 2 other projects 100% that we want to look at our strategic options for those. But our real focus is funding this company, taking the dilution both through broader equity placements, but also insider participation. And so because we own 100% of this project, it gives us a lot of funding alternatives too, right? So if we make a discovery, then we'll have to look at whatever makes sense for shareholders, and that could involve selling the company. It could involve bringing in a partner that takes us all the way through to production and carries our investors, or we fund the activity ourselves. So we just continue as the project develops to continue to do what's best for shareholders because we're very invested as shareholders as well. I personally own 6%, and 2 other directors own collectively about 50%.
Yeah, indeed. So let's talk a bit about the current gold situation, because we've seen gold price quite steadily increasing the last few years. And this year we passed $4,000, a massive increase in terms of that valuation. So how's Endurance Gold trying to position itself in this kind of gold market? Now also you have antimony too, another sort of strategic metals to
Yes,
benefit from.
yes, it is. And our focus and the rock value that we have, and I gave you those numbers earlier, and based on $18,000 per ton of antimony, it adds about a 0.5 gram per ton equivalent gold value on those arithmetic averages we had before. So that works out. So that still demonstrates like 80 to 90% of our value of our deposit is gold. But even with a conservative valuation, it does demonstrate significant contribution by the antimony content if we can demonstrate a way to peel that off and sell it as a separate product. So, and that's the kind of metallurgical test work that we're testing now as part of our next phases of work. Is our focus is likely to be on collecting a concentrate and then say, is there a way of taking that concentrate and splitting out an antimony content or not? But the focus has got to be for us to deliver gold because that's where the real value is. We're fortunate to have this antimony content that gives us the potential to deliver significant value. And if antimony price continues in the $30,000 kind of per ton range, it delivers maybe even an extra gram per ton, right, of rock value. So if we can recover it, so that's the methodology, is looking at that. What kind of recovery can we have if we want to create a separate antimony product? The prime focus right now will be get it the highest gold recovery we can, and then worry about how we manage that out of the concentrate to take an antimony product.
Great, Robert. Let's talk a bit now about your share price. So since the beginning of the year, Endurance is currently, well, double the share price of it. But despite the disconnect, I call it, right, of the junior gold and the gold price is starting to close the gap. Do you believe this is still undervalued situation compared to your peers, and what investors should be following your company in the next 12, 18 months?
Well, yes, I think we would respond by saying, yes, we're undervalued, and we feel part of the reason we focused this year in the shallower exploration and filling in that gap was to deliver a near surface gold resource that was near surface, and demonstrated with our deep drilling. We've demonstrated the potentially to chase this system at depth, and so it has a long future. So our initial goal is to deliver on what we've promised, and deliver, hopefully, our initial resource will exceed 1 million ounces. And if it does, it has potential to deliver a resource for us that will restate our value. But until we get those numbers, we don't know what it's going to be. But we're pretty pleased with our success statistics, the nature of the system, the widths, and other things that we've got potential to deliver a significant gold system here in our inaugural resource. And we're just at the process of handing that into an independent geo that's going through the 3D modeling and resource calculation that's required with the results from our program to date.
Great to hear. Lots to look forward to for investors. So thank you, Robert, for sharing your story with us here today.
Well, my pleasure, Gilbert, and I look forward to joining you again and providing an update once we deliver on our future plans here.
Yes, definitely looking forward to that resource. I'll chat with you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.